so be it. Then it was God's will. So he's finally at that place that he needs to be. So now, let's read verses 15 through 25, where it says, "So the men took that present that he was talking about, the various spices and everything else, and Benjamin, and they took double money in their hand. They arose and went down to Egypt. And they stood before Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of his house, 'Take these men to my home, slaughter an animal, and make ready, for these men will dine with me at noon.' Then the man did as Joseph ordered, and the man brought the men into Joseph's house. Now the men were afraid because they were brought into Joseph's house. And they said, 'It is because of the money which was returned in our sacks the first time that we are brought in, so that we may make a case against us and seize us, to take us as slaves with our donkeys.' So when they drew near to the steward of Joseph's house, they talked with him at the door of the house, and said to him, 'O sir, we indeed came down the first time to buy food. But it happened when we came to the encampment that we opened our sacks, and that there each man's money was in the mouth of the sack, our money in full weight,' in other words, all of it. 'So we have brought it back in our hand, and we have brought down other money in our hands to buy food. We do not know who put our money in our sacks.' But he, the steward, said, 'Peace be with you. Do not be afraid. Your God and the God of your father has given you treasure in your sacks. I had your money.' So the man brought the men into Joseph's house, gave them water, they washed their feet, and he gave their donkeys feed. Then they made the present ready for Joseph's coming at noon, for they heard that they would eat bread there." So here's the next part of it. Very interesting. They obeyed their father, and then they're complying with Joseph's requirements. But for once, they actually obeyed their father. They took the present, and they took Benjamin double the money, and they returned. See, I think this too pleases God Almighty when he sees compliance. Colossians 3:20 says, "Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well-pleasing to the Lord." That's one of the things that I see that is sorely amiss today in today's society, particularly here in the United States. Children do not feel compelled to obey their parents. But this is directly from God. This is his will for the way the world should work. That the kids listen to the parents. And you notice it doesn't specify an age. It doesn't say young adults. It doesn't say full adult children. It's saying something very straightforward. Children, obey your parents. In what? Some things? In the things that you agree with them with? No. In all things. For this is well-pleasing to the Lord. Because it's very like the Lord. He wants us to obey his commands, does he not? He wouldn't give them to us if he didn't. So God not only designed the family unit, he also established how it should function properly. And so if kids learn to obey their parents and then do it willingly, things go better. But note the condition in verse 16. Very interesting there. He said, when Joseph saw Benjamin with them, when he saw them, he said to the steward of his house, "Take these men to my home, slaughter an animal and make ready. But these men will dine with me at noon. Very interesting. What must have, been done for Joseph? What must it have done to Joseph to finally see his younger brother amongst all of his other brothers? This is his true brother. The other brothers are, in most ways, his half-brothers. Not only had his older brothers complied with his order, but he sees Benjamin, his closest sibling, and he's alive and he's well. That had to really touch his heart. In large families, I've noted something that happens. The siblings naturally cling to the other siblings that are closest to them in age. We had a family in my town. I just don't understand how this happened, but they had 26 children. They operated a big farm, and apparently he wanted a lot of help. But they had 26 children. Now, I played baseball my senior year of high school, with the youngest of those kids. He had 25 older brothers and sisters. And so we were riding home from practice one night. He had a car, I didn't. And I asked him, I said, "What do you know about your oldest brothers and sisters?" And he goes, "I know less about them than I do about some of my uncles and aunts." Because he said, "I have brothers that are in their 50s. He had no serious relationship with those people. And so here's 12 sons from 4 different women, and they're all together now. And Joseph has them taken to his private dwelling. That's interesting too. He is now going to, spend some time with all of his brothers. I think something has happened that God's been working in Joseph's heart. Joseph has had time to plan how to address his family and to reveal his identity. Man tends to be very impatient, though, doesn't he? Sometimes we would just blurt it out. But again, notice God's touch. God has a feel for the timing of things. We often say, all things in God's time. And what we tend to see is God waits. God is never in a hurry. And so as a result of that, here's Joseph going through, okay, I gave them some requirements if they were to come back. Now, are they going to comply with that? He has got the responsibility. What am I going to do? When is the proper time for me to reveal who I am to them? So, he intends to spend some time with them because I think God has said to it, let's see where their hearts are. Let's see what's happened in them. So although Joseph has had time to prepare for this event, it's very interesting that the reunification, but he still becomes overwhelmed with emotion when he sees Benjamin. Very interesting. We can do all the preparation we want, and then it happens, and our emotions start coming out. But the other brothers become fearful. They think something bad is potentially going to happen here. and it's because of the money issue, isn't it? They haven't figured it out. You see, there's a couple of things things that we can always think about in every situation. They only think of one option. They don't think that well, why is he giving us our money back? Who is this guy? See, that would be my thing, you know, especially if I had time to think about these things. You know, they're not going through that process. It's like they're, you know, they've got this one-track mind. There's something that he's going to try to do to us. He wants to imprison us, whatever, you know, and it's all negative. So, the steward takes them to, is this mine? Yeah. Shut up. Larry and I had this conversation on the way back from an event on Tuesday, and I told him why I don't always answer my cell phone, because it's my cell phone, it's not the world's. That's another thing, yeah. So anyway, so the steward takes him over there, and he does all the things that Joseph has, you know, ordered him to do for them. Yeah, it says, so the man brought the men into Joseph's house. First thing he does is he gives them water so they can wash their feet. That was a very, very important tradition over there. Shut that thing up. Shoot it. To wash their feet. That was a thing, a tradition in the Middle East, because the roads and everything were dirt and dusty. You know, what did Jesus do at the Last Supper? Put a towel around himself, and he washed all of the apostles' feet. Amazing. See, and that was a job that a servant would do, you know, on behalf, at the bidding of his master, on the behalf of the guests. So, that's the first thing he does. And they wash their feet. Then the next thing he does the same thing that Rebecca and Rachel did when they were approached by the people that were looking for a wife for, you know, for Isaac and Jacob. They gave their donkeys feed. These are the pack animals that they're going to load the grain on and take back. Then they made the present ready. This is what they do. They want to make sure that their present is there because they want to, you know, be in good favor with, you know, this Egyptian man. And they knew that he was coming at noon, for they had heard that they would eat bread with him. So it's interesting. They had heard that. It wasn't told them directly, but they had heard it. So, very interesting how this goes down. So, they decide to plead their case to the steward. They figure he may have an in with his master. But the steward, though, they don't realize, already knows more than they do. So when they, you know, talk to him about all of this thing to do with their money, the steward says to them, "Peace be with you.